Hi, today I want to talk about something I feel like is very popular in the book world, but we don't talk about enough, or maybe it's not popular and I'm just talking to the air, but that's fine because I like it. I'm going to talk about the Goodreads challenges. Now, I know in the Bookstagram, Book Talk, BookTube world, Goodreads is controversial. So let me start by saying I have tried all of the book tracking software. I use Storygram and Goodreads for different things. And part of the reason I still use Goodreads, even though I've used it for forever and I know it's outdated, is I really, for the most part, enjoy the Goodreads challenges. It's gotten me to read books I wouldn't normally read, and did still with this quarter's Goodreads. I know Storygram has challenges. I've tried them, I've looked at them. It still doesn't do the same thing that the Goodreads challenges do. I also use Storygram. I love that it's owned by a Black woman and supported. I love it. I love the graphs and the charts and all that. I do use Storygram. I also use Goodreads, okay? So let's just do that. Now, for the most part, I love the Goodreads challenges. Does that mean I'm not going to complain about them a little bit in this video? No, I can also do that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, I do the Goodreads challenges. I have finished them every time. I finished this one. I'm going to talk about what I read, what also I read this quarter that would have counted, and which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like. So let's get started. Also, if you did the Goodreads challenge, I'd love to follow you on Goodreads so we can talk about it. And and tell me which ones you did that counted for each challenge. I do talk to some of the ladies in my book club a little bit about it. So first of all, we have, if you don't know what the Goodreads challenge is, I'm going to try to show you on my tablet. It looks like this. And at the start of each quarter, so for this one, it started in April. They open up a few at a time, and you can read, they open them up, and the first three are just you read a certain amount of books. I don't know why they do this. I wish they got rid of them. I really do. Because the biggest one you can get is read 5 books. Well, you have to read more than 5 books to meet all the other challenges. So it doesn't make sense to me. But every time you complete a challenge, you get one of these cute little bookmarks. You can see. And then they open up a few challenges at a time, depending on the day. So the first one was called a community pick, and people that liked Goodreads voted on what kind of challenge they wanted. And the first one was thrillers. Right up my alley. I loved it. And the thrillers, I had a lot of options. I'd read a lot of them, but I had some options, and I'd wanted to try Simone St. James. And if you followed me at all, you know I fell in love with Simone St. James because of this. I had this done. It opened up April 1st, and I had it done by April 5th, okay? Loved it. Fell in love with Simone St. James. I had tried her new book, The Box of Darkness. And so I was like, I'm going to try this. It's on the list. So I did. Loved that challenge. I love that they let us vote on a challenge, because a lot of times they just pick a challenge, and we'll talk about that. The editors do of the challenges, and they pick the books, and that's what they go with. I love that they let the audience pick what they did. They gave us 3 options. We picked mystery thrillers. That should talk to them. That should talk to the editors. If you're hearing this, we like these genre challenges, okay? We like these kind of open genre challenges. Give us more, let us eat these up. We love them. We love them, okay? So I did the Broken Girls for this. Now, I'm also going to tell you the books I read during this time period that would have also completed it. I also read Little Ones, and this would have also counted for that challenge. I read it much later, though. You only get it to count for the first one you read. This would have also counted. Both of these, 100% suggest these books. Loved them both. Loved this challenge. Give us more like these. Next one is... Sorry, things are just falling in my life. A metaphor for something, for life. The next challenge was trending books. And it was, and a lot of times I felt... Okay, I'm going to have to say this. I really did like a lot of these challenges. One of the problems I had with this Goodreads was that I felt like a lot of books hit so many different, one book hit 2 or 3 challenges, which I'm fine with 1 or 2 of them, but I felt like there was so many of them, and I'm going to show you. So this is trending, books that they felt like were trending and very popular. And I felt like a little bit they kind of found out that they weren't as popular as they thought. But I had several of these that I read this quarter. The one that counted was, I tell you, I'm falling. Things are falling. Things are falling. The one that counted for me was The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. I had this. I'd been meaning to read it. I'd gotten it for Book of the Month, and I read it for this challenge. I really, really enjoyed I enjoyed it. I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite Alex Harrow book. Definitely enjoyed The Starling House and Once and Future, which is more. But it checked off it checked off three. One book should not check off 3 challenges. I don't feel like it should. I feel like I should have to work a little harder for it. Now, did I read other books that still checked off the challenges? Yes. But I feel like a little bit like that's a little too much. 2, okay, maybe. 3, though? Really? Like, anyway, it was a good fantasy. It was like medieval time traveler type fantasy. It was a good book. Would I necessarily have picked this book up in this time frame without the Goodreads challenge? No. So I feel like this got me a little bit out of my comfort zone, which is what I like out of the Goodreads challenges. Okay. Trending books. Did I have another trending book I read? I don't think so. I did, but it fell on the floor. It's down there. So far away. Ever have that happen where it's like the floor took it? Okay, be right back. The floor took it. The floor will not take it any longer. Okay. This is another one that could have been multiple. I read it. It didn't count for any because I'd already finished these boxes. But I almost did read this. Started it. It wasn't the right timing. But this could have counted for 2 challenges, including trending books. The Lost Story of Eva Fuentes. It was a good book. I tried to read it for one of my challenges. It wasn't the right timing, but it was a good book. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so this book also could have been, as could, that book also could have been Books on Books. And it could have been editor's book. So the next challenge I want to talk about is editor's book. So the editors, they like to throw in like their own opinion. What are some good books? I don't usually agree with the editors, but this one was fine. I felt like it was a fine selection. Not the selection I would have chose, but it did give me like some that I had read, some that it got me a little bit out of my comfort zone, and it was fine. The Everlasting counted for it, so I went with it. Here's, I later on read Lone Women, which also counted for it. It didn't end up, like, it didn't count for me, but I read it. It would have counted for it. Fantastic book, by the way. Fantastic book. Next challenge was my favorite. It was my favorite challenge, and I loved the little bookmark that we got for it. I wish we could buy these bookmarks in real life, because I would have bought this bookmark in real life. So this is the bookmark we got for it. Isn't that such a pretty bookmark? And the challenge was Books on Books. I love Books on Books. It's one of my favorites. And I thought that this was a super fun challenge. The Everlasting counted for it again. I was like, why is the Everlasting count? Okay, fine, whatever. But I ended up reading 2 books that could have counted for it anyway. This is like The Book Witch, which I really, really enjoyed, by Meg Schaefer. Could have counted for Books on Books. Really loved it. Cozy, fun, mystery Books on Books. I was thrilled with this. So this next one I did read could have counted for editor's pick, the community pick, which was the thrillers one, and Books on Books. And I read it later. It could have counted. Again, why does one book count for 3 different of the groupings? I don't feel like that's okay to me. But again, I just read it because I wanted to read it, not because it was one of the challenge options. But I feel like, okay, 2 challenges I get, but 3 counted for this, and the Everlasting counted for 3 challenges. That's too much. So I feel like there needed to be some editing there. But Books on Books, I was like, all of these challenge options, I had options I could have picked from. I had they varied what options they had. They had like a bunch of different genres, a bunch of different types, a bunch of different tropes. There was something for everybody to meet the challenge, while also experimenting with like different years, especially the thrillers one. There was thrillers from going back years, and I love that. I love that it wasn't just all new stuff. I felt like the editor's pick and the trending books was all very new books, and sometimes I want to go back years. So this one was the Ghostwriters, was also on 3 different challenges. I just feel like 3 is too many, but the book was really good. One challenge they had previously was a decades challenge where you had to read an older book. I really enjoyed that. I would gladly go back to that. Now, the next couple of challenges they had, I didn't love the challenges. I get where they were coming from with them. I do. I get the concept behind them. I don't feel like the concept played out the way it was supposed to play out. So I'm going to read to you the description. This description is called it was called Marathon Reads, okay? It's called Marathon Reader. And I want to actually read to you the description of what this, so they describe what like these books are supposed to be. And I want to just help you understand. Here's one thing about that bookworms can and should be proud of. We still have the ability to stay focused. In the age of the rapidly diminishing attention span, devoted book readers are holding the line. The simple act of finishing a novel is no small feat among all these 21st century distractions. Go ahead and brag about it. We do. So if you really want to earn some bonus points, consider queuing up a book from this collection, 100 door stoppers, each clocking in at more than 500 pages. Think of it as a challenge, a test of mental discipline, or simply an opportunity to spend sustained time with a great story. So they had a bunch of classics, which I like having a classics option, but then they had some more modern stuff. First of all, I have a hard time because I felt like this was built around people. Sometimes I feel like they build challenges around a very popular book, and I felt like this was a little bit built around Alchemized, because I've noticed in Goodreads challenges, they're like, oh, that's a popular book, let's build an entire challenge around it. And I felt like somewhat this was built around Alchemized. I don't mind a classics challenge. I feel like a 500 plus page challenge is a little bit not functionable for some people who have like ADHD like I do. 500 pages is not something, I know I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone, but that's a struggle for me. It just felt, and then the options they had for there's a lot of books that have 500 plus pages. The options were not good. They were not, I just felt like there's a lot of books that could have been on here that weren't. And then I did end up picking The Night Circus. I was like, well, I've kind of heard of this book, and I just want everybody to see how many pages this book has. Remember, it's supposed to be 500 pages long. How many pages do you see there? Not that I'm complaining, because again, 500 pages is not necessarily the most attainable for me, so I was okay. But that's 387 pages. That's why I could do it. And I did it while reading other books. So that's why it was attainable for me. But I just felt like it was a little bit, it was not a good challenge. The options were not attainable. The challenge was not attainable. There was not diverse authors. Usually they do okay with having some diverse authors. There was not diverse authors. I get that they were trying to do a classics. I get that they were trying to do Alchemized because it's very popular. But maybe do a classics challenge and maybe do something different. For like Alchemized, we're going to talk about the AAPI challenge. It wasn't to me. If you're going to do a marathon read challenge, make it 400 pages, make it more diverse. There was better options. That's just my take. I like Night Circus though. Okay. I'm going to get to the AAPI challenge and the Pride challenge in a minute, but then they did another one. I didn't love it, and I felt like there just wasn't enough options. They did what they called a summer reading challenge, and they normally do a summer reading challenge. And it's usually like summer themed. But this was summer blockbuster themed, so a book coming to TV or movies. The problem for me was that most of the books coming to TV or movies I've already read. And I think that that's the problem for a lot of people. If they're excited about it coming to TV or movies, they've already read that book. And so it's like, well, do I just reread? So I feel like that was a little bit of a problem. So I read Harlan Coben's I Will Find You. My first Harlan Coben. I have watched some Harlan Coben and I enjoyed it, but I did not enjoy this book. Meh. So I don't know if then I want to watch the show. I might enjoy the show more, but I did not enjoy the book. And I felt like that was kind of a problem for me. And I feel like it would be for a lot of people, because if you're excited about the TV show, you probably already read the book. So it's just, if we're going to make a summer theme going into summer, it kind of didn't hit right. Then we had Summer Escapist, and it was like things you escape from. Now, I didn't exactly understand the premise. It was like things you escape from. The circus, the circus, cults, let's see. I'm going to tell you, because it was weird. Escape into different timelines, escape on a holiday, escape from a cult, escape into a good book, escape out of a good book, escape, from this mysterious figure chasing me, escape Earth's orbit, escape my mundane reality. Anyway, a bunch of different types of escape. I really liked this weird challenge. It had so many different types of books, so many different concepts. I mean, it sounds weird, but it was a weird that was kind of cool. And I had a bunch of, there were so many different types of options of books, so many different fun ideas, and it was just wacky and weird. And I had, it was fun. So I know I showed this book earlier for an option, but this was the book I read for my escapist read, Escape from a Cult. Loved this book. Devoured this book. And it was my Escape from a Cult. More challenges like this. Weird off-the-wall topics with lots of different options of types of books. I would love it. And on the marathon read, I would love a classic challenge where we do a little bit of classics. I would like that. Maybe not 500 pages, though. I just think that that's just not attainable for some people. A lot of people. Lots of people. But this escapist read, loved this concept. Now, they always do, I'm not saving, I'm not trying to add it to the last so nobody stays here and watches it. I just felt like these two last ones needed to be on the last because I want to talk about them. They always do whatever, like Black History Month or Women's History Month. So they had AAPI, his Heritage Month, and they had Pride Month. I have been very disappointed in Women's History Month. I really liked Black History Month this year, so I was nervous about what they were going to do. And unfortunately, AAPI Heritage Month was okay. But they did what they did with Women's History Month with this. They only did really new releases instead of saying, like, here's a bunch of different genres and a bunch of different options. There was a couple different options I could have gone with. And I gave away the book, or actually put it in my little free library, and it was gone by very quickly. And they don't have it yet in my library, so I don't have it to show you, but I wrote a note. It was The Fourth Princess by Jenny Chang. I enjoyed it. It was good. I think I gave it 4 stars, so it was good. And I hope whoever got it from the little free library thoroughly enjoyed it themselves. I learned about AAPI heritage. I learned about Shanghai at the turn of the century. I just feel like when you only focus on books from the last year, it's the same thing I thought about during Women's History Month. When you only offer books from the last year, you lose some of the options that people could use. So I would prefer to have more options to learn and open it up. Okay, so from Pride, I felt like I didn't notice if it was all from the last year, but I felt like it was very romance heavy, and I don't feel like all LGBTQ plus books are romance. I feel like there's a lot of options, and that really bothered me. So maybe it is just from the last year. I can think of quite a few books that could have been an option, and I felt like, it was very heated rivalries style books where that's just not my style. Nor is it, I don't want to read. That's just not my style. I know that it's a lot of people's style and it's very popular right now. And that's probably why they did it. Not my style, not something I want to read. So I had a little bit of a harder time picking a book. And I originally picked Missing Sam because it was a thriller. And I started it and it was fine, but I just felt like it was a little bit generic. And I wanted something a little different. And I was kind of in the mood for like a gothic fantasy. So I found this book. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you know, like I gagged how amazing this book was. The Fox and the Devil. It's a gothic fantasy mystery set at 1890s to 1900s. Amazing book. Really good. Very, very good. And I really enjoyed it. So I did this for my Pride option. I just felt a little like both AAPI and Pride options let me down a little bit. And I feel like Goodreads has let me down in the Heritage Month options most of the year. Please stop just offering us the last year. Vary it. There's a lot of good books out there. So my summary is there have been some really great challenges. Stop trying to, I don't want them to keep trying to shoehorn options. I really like the challenges where it's like very creative and there's a lot of options, and I like having to try different things, but at the same time, I like where it's unique. And so that's just where I'm at. If you do the Goodreads challenges, what options did you pick? How did you feel about the Heritage Months all this year? July 1st starts the new Goodreads challenges, so we'll see what I pick. If anyone's interested in finding me on Goodreads, and then we can kind of look at it together. I'm excited to start July 1st, which is why I wanted to get this filmed and get this done so that I can move on starting July 1st. So let me know what you did. I would love to hear from some romance readers because that's just so not my world. How did you do with all these? Because I felt like other than Pride Month, there just wasn't, there was some romance. There's a lot of fantasy this time around. I felt maybe I just wasn't looking for it, so it didn't click. But I felt like it was a little light on the romance. And I would love to hear from anybody who did do it. How did you feel about the Marathon Reads one? Because I was not happy. So, and to anybody at Goodreads, if you see this, these are my thoughts. Not that anybody cares at Goodreads, but these are my thoughts. So anyway, comment down below, like and subscribe. And remember, always bring a book.